Y'all, I think I'm old now. Does it mean you're old when you start to realize that everything all the old people before you said when you were growing up is true, and they were all right? And it was annoying because you're like, whatever, old people, you literally know nothing, you're old. And then you get just like your prefrontal lobe finishes forming, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, maybe they were on to something. And I'm saying that because it's kind of like beautiful and disgusting and funny and hilarious that literally life is a giant cliche. All the cliches that you heard growing up and everything, like, they're literally all so true, and they're so profound, and it's like one little sentence or like a couple words, and we just write it off like it's not the most significant, intellectual knowledge bomb of our existence that has obviously gotten us through a long time, many different things, many different generations, versions, experiences, because they've lasted so long, these parables or these cliches, and which is kind of exactly like how a meme works, like it catches rapid fire and then everybody's like saying it, but then it's kind of like the game of telephone, and after a certain amount of times of it being repeated, it can get washed out in its significance and its meaning, what the true intention was. So I think that's really funny and kind of like a silly realization of aging or growing up. I'm only 33, but it feels old. Not really. It doesn't feel old. It just feels like, oh my gosh, your eyes just opened for the first time in your 30s. It's weird. You like shed a skin, you turn into a new person. But I love the cliches. And so now my obsession is, whenever I'm having experiences or going through things or whatever, I'm like, okay, dang, what cliche is like this referring to? And so my favorite one right now is, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I love that so much because I think it's obviously insanely deep. There's 100 different ways you could go with that, and it doesn't even matter where that idea came from, what philosopher. I don't even know the roots of that. I just know it's a profound statement, and it really ties deeply into my field of study, which is psychology and counseling, psychoanalysis, and kind of understanding the human brain, the human psyche, why we do what we do, all those things, okay? All things human brain, psychology, all that stuff. And so it really ties into that. And I love it because it can have spiritual meaning, it can have any kind of meaning. And it's even more beautiful whenever you realize at all times, number one, every interaction, everything you go through, all the people you deal with, every experience you have is essentially a mirror reflecting something back to you. Whatever you need to see, it is a reflection. And that's really hard to kind of like grasp at first, number one, because our ego tries to deter us from that. But if you can work through the ego, get past that ickiness, and look at every situation, every interaction of like, what was I supposed to learn here? What do I need to grab in this situation? And then you go zoom out even more, one step further, and you're like, oh my gosh, you are the student and the teacher simultaneously in every interaction that you have. Every situation, you are reflecting back to someone else, a mirror to them, what they need to see, and they are doing the same to you. So they're learning from you, and you're the teacher and they're the student. And then at the same time, you're the student and they're the teacher. And whenever you can get the ego part out of the way, you can really have profound insight and gains to everything. Everything is an opportunity to learn more about yourself, more about yourself is the words. What are you not seeing? What message, what are they communicating to you whenever they're mirroring this stuff back to you? And also the enlightenment you can get, instead of seeing everything and every interaction as what do we like to do? Perceive it as judgment, critique, an opportunity to compare ourselves, a way to, I don't know, project our shit onto other people. And so it's more so like when you get the ickiness out of the way, the ego, you are able to see every opportunity and every interaction as a chance to learn about yourself. It's a direct look in the mirror. What am I needing to work on? What am I missing? What am I not seeing the bigger picture of? What am I neglecting? What are they reflecting back to me about myself? That if I pause and were to reflect, this is more about me than them. And I just love that cliche is so deep and so profound. You can flip it around, twist it, however, it doesn't matter who it came from, none of that. It's just a really cool way to change your perspective so that you can have like different experiences, because the way you perceive your experiences is going to be indicative of how you feel about it. So if you change your perception, everything is an opportunity to learn, and you get empowered and you get pride knowing that you were also doing that for someone else. So someone was giving you an opportunity to learn, and you showing up as yourself as the mirror that you are, you're allowing them to learn as well. And like, again, back to the ego, when both parties can put that ego down, wow, what can be learned would be profound. And I think that's a huge part of human connection. Maybe we've lost or we're missing. So I see it all the time. I had a coworker the other day. I really didn't like the way she was reflecting back to me what I was putting out. And she said, you seem like you would do really good in leadership here, and you have great qualities, but I can tell you don't want to be here. It's obvious you don't want to be here. And honestly, I didn't really like that. I didn't want to hear that. But I said, you know what? You're right. Your read on that is accurate, girly, because I don't want to be here. I'm not happy here. And she said, well, if you already know that you don't like being here, why? What's holding you here? Like, what would keep you here in that position? And I didn't like her facial expressions. I didn't like the tone, and this could all be projection. She didn't mean it ugly, but I took it that way because she was mirroring to me what I already knew. I already knew that, lady. I already know. What the hell? What are you doing here if you don't like it, if you're not happy, if you don't want to be here? And so she was literally just holding up a mirror to me, showing me, hey, this is what you're reflecting. Let me show you real quick. It looks like you don't want to be here. That's the vibe you're putting off. And it took me a minute. I had to regulate, but it sent me in a frenzy for a second because, number one, she just exposed a part of me I didn't want anybody to expose. I didn't want to acknowledge that she was right. Yes, and that's the question I have been. She didn't know what she was doing because she's not in my head, but it was just so funny because she was the teacher I needed to appear, even though my ego doesn't want to learn from this person because something about it, I don't know, I didn't have space to see her as having anything valuable for me to get. And so I kind of got forced in that position where I had to reflect, and it's like, dang, you really just reflected some knowledge onto me that I needed to consider. And so I was frustrated at it, but when I reflected, I was like, damn, she was right. And she was just holding it up to me saying, this is it, this is you. And I was looking at it and I was pissed because who are you to tell me what I already know? But it was kind of like the nudge I needed, and it gave me permission to kind of recognize, like, hey, if you don't want to be here, what is holding you here? And that was just a great opportunity. I don't know if she learned anything from me in that moment, and that's not for me to concern myself with, because I just took it as a learning moment. She was a great mirror for me, and it worked out perfectly because it was somebody I definitely didn't want to hear any of that kind of talk from. So it humbled me. My ego, like I talked about, she was denied. I mean, she had to sit that one down, and she was wrong, and she tried to come in and say, how dare you try to tell me what okay. So I just reflected on it, and I was like, holy crap, like, this is so cliche, because when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And you don't get to pick who it is or how it is, but if you show up with that mindset, you have a better chance of getting the message. And it's really hard to kind of pause and say, wait, hold on, is my ego trying to like ruin this message for me? It's not critic, it's what I already thought about myself. She was just telling me things I was already struggling with. anyways, y'all ever have any moments like that? Any cliches where you're like, oh my gosh, life is so cliche. It's so cliche, it's annoying. Okay, let me know.